and welcome to episode 9 of Mode 7, the show where we play games and talk about them. I am your host, Sergmanx, and joining me today is the underwhelming Monkey Man.
Thanks. I was so interested in how you were going to introduce me too. You paused. I thought you were going to stop recording and say, oh, hold on, I don't know what to say. Like, let's do this over or something. And I was so excited. You started to speak again. And what I get is the underwhelming Monkey Man. Thanks. Okay. I see. Jeez.
So Monkey Man, guess what?
What?
Today we're going to talk about Gex Deep Pocket Gecko for the Game Boy Color.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, you said I'm underwhelming, so I'm playing that role now. So, yeah, all the listeners could get a crappy interview today.
All right. So, Monkey Man, what'd you think about Gex 3 Deep Pocket Gecko?
I thought the game was all right. I got pretty lost. I wish they had a small tutorial in the beginning or something, like what to do with the remotes and the TVs and like where to go. And I didn't know what the mission was. It seemed like a whole bunch of kind of mini games and like one-off missions. And it seemed like when I was trying to complete the missions, like for instance, they had one where it was like 3 frozen elves or something like that. And like when I did that, I found the remote which like lets you leave that section of the game and then go back to like the main screen, so to speak. But it didn't seem like there was any check off that I actually completed that mission, and I would just have to keep doing it again. And then I could do other missions, but it didn't seem to unlock any other doors or anything. It was very confusing.
So the levels were really non-linear in a sense where, yeah, you know, you have these missions. It tells you at the start of the level, and then you could choose to tackle it in any order you like. The only thing is, it'll give you a vague hint at the beginning of what you need to do, and it's up to you to figure out how you're gonna come across these missions and to complete them. So in a sense, I kind of liked where it wasn't completely linear in that sense. You can kind of do what you want. But it kind of got frustrating sometimes trying to figure out, all right, I kind of, like you said earlier, you get lost through these levels, and I kind of felt the same way, especially in the second level where you're like in this hedge maze.
Yes.
And that got very confusing because, you know, it's an 8-bit game on the Game Boy Color. So at first I didn't even realize I was in a hedge maze due to how the graphics looked.
Yeah.
So I was so confused, like, and then it clicked, like, oh, this is a hedge maze. I can kind of move up and down because, you know, in the previous level, you know, you couldn't do that. You could just jump around like this. You could literally move in 4 directions. So that was a little like weird.
Yeah, and there were just some levels where it was like I would go in and then I would go all the way to the rooms to the right, to the right, to the right, and I would get there and there seemed to be no escape. And I was like, what's going on here? And then I had to either like reset the game or like try to go back to the main menu somehow. Yeah, it was very odd and very confusing. The actual gameplay itself wasn't bad. Once you're in the levels, I like the way that Gex looks. I like that like they're kind of like these simple little missions. And yes, as you said, there were the hints. And I try to follow the hints. But again, it seemed to me like even once I completed the mission based on the hints, there wasn't any like, you know, completed banner or any type of a medal or anything that you got that signified like, okay, you're done with this one, move on to the next. It just kind of seemed like it was always open to repeat it and never like have a finish with each individual minigame. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it like you touched on earlier, you know, you're not necessarily guided on what to do after you complete, you know, a said mission. Because now you have to find, all right, I think I completed this mission. Now I need to find the exit to the level.
Right. Or like Spyro the Dragon for PlayStation, you know, it was like you would go into different realms, different wells, different, I don't know, whatever type things. And with that game, it was like once you completed one, now it's like the next well or the next door or whatever, like unlocked. And it's like now you have access to this world. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. I get it. Like you know, I complete this one, I have access to the next one. And you could still go into multiple worlds in Spyro and redo them and whatever. But like, it's clear once you unlock the next level. And with this one, I was just like, I'm not like unlocking new things. Like, I had no clue what was going on the whole time.
Like, honestly, I would have rather it been a game where you have a point A to point B, you know, like traditional levels versus having these missions that you complete.
I'm surprised to hear you say that, because generally I like the linear type games and you like the open world type games.
No, actually.
What are you talking about?
Well, like, what do you give me an example?
Well, Final Fantasy.
Yeah, but that's a different genre of game. You know, that's an RPG. This is a platformer, like a 2D platformer.
No, this is like a 2D RPG.
Gex is a 2D RPG? What? No, it's not. It has this game has zero RPG elements.
Well, you're playing as Gex and you're moving around as him. That's like RPG.
No, that's a 2D platformer. You're not leveling up your character. You're not gaining new abilities. You're not like fighting like bosses in a RPG style combat. It's a 2D platformer.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
We'll cut that part out.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Guys gonna get roasted in the comments.
I was okay with that. So overall, I don't know. This game, it kind of sucked. I feel like based on the character and based on the actual gameplay, like it had potential, but it's almost like, I don't know if the developers were lazy or they were like amateurs and this was like their first pro game that they released or what. But it was almost like it had a good start. It has potential, but it's like missing so much from it to actually make it like a good game.
I like the game. Do I think it's a must play? No. But for what it was and what it did, I can respect the work they put into it. You know, my first game in their franchise was, you know, the original Gex on the 3DO, and that game was more linear. You basically only have to find a remote in the level, and then you go to the exit, which you already know where the exit's going to be because you're going, you know, like normal platforming. So, you know, this on the other hand, you know, you have all these missions and stuff, and like it's not awful, but it's definitely something that I don't see myself returning to anytime soon or even at all. I do like that the game had a variety of different environments. One level didn't feel like another, and for that, it was pretty good in that aspect. If you enjoyed this episode of Mode 7, give it a like and comment below your thoughts on today's topic. Please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that bell to be notified when the next Sergmanx video drops. Have a good day and peace out.